you need to take this guy. This guy is going to make a lot of money for you. He's a great talker. He's a hell of a showman, and he can also wrestle. He's going to make you a lot of money. And the conversation, I guess, probably went maybe a half hour to an hour, and about a week later, Vince picks up Randy Macho Man Savage. Nice. And you see him on TV the next week, just like that.
That was before he did the gimmick where everybody wanted to be his manager, that they were trying to all take, Macho
Man. Way before that.
Way before that. This was in '85. This was in '85, and this is before his big match with Ricky Steamboat with WrestleMania 3 in '87. And I met Savage back in '85 when I visited him in the Tennessee area. I was just a little guy and a nice man, a really, really, really nice man. It was quite different than in wrestling, especially when I was a little guy. But my dad also did everything in the business. He did the first ever WWF magazine.
I've never had a problem with it.
Nice.
He was the first editor ever. Did the first WWF magazine ever.
The original WWF.
The original.
Yeah.
The original,
What year was that?
83, 84, around that era. And that's quite an interesting story itself. And actually, my dad and I did a wrestling book a few years back, and I know Dave read it. I know he loved it. And it was a big thing with the magazine. I know you're recording this.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'll get bashed on the board, but anyway.
No, you won't. It won't be on the board. It'll be my personal video. So.
Oh, good. On your Facebook, probably.
Yeah, on my Facebook. Yeah.
Well, then I'm gonna have to send you a request then.
Okay.
So what happened was, my father started the WWF magazine for Vince McMahon, and so when they did the magazine, showed it to Vince loved it because Vince wanted action in his magazine. He didn't want those superstar poses, like this or like that or whatever. And my father told Vince, I said, I want a percentage of the magazine, okay? And I want to do it from Los Angeles, and I want it in writing. And Vince McMahon says, it doesn't need to be in writing. It's just a gentleman's agreement. Just shake my hand. Well, by the time you hear that, it wasn't gonna happen. So, and then at one point, a long time ago, Vince calls up my father and he says, I have plane tickets waiting for you at the airport. I want you to pack up your things, move out of your house, move your family to Connecticut, and I want you there tomorrow.
Oh.
And my father said, Vince, he says, I didn't do that. He says, I got, my wife has a job here, my kids go to school. And Vince says, oh, no, don't worry about it. He says, I'll find you a place, and, I'll get your wife a job, I'll find a school for the kids and stuff. Long story short, bottom line is, I said, Vince, I can't do that. And then that was the rest of the conversation. They hung up and, didn't go through, and that was it. And then apparently they hired another editor after my father was the second editor, and he wasn't there that long. And he was like a computer guy. And the next time, just give me a second. No,
Yeah, I know. Coming in here, it's like, I'm so tired, it's like, you gotta take a rest and fix yourself in Vegas.
I know. I guess I'm doing an interview with Mr. Steve here.
Yeah.
Sorry you're crashing this.
No, not at all. Please, you're welcome to crash this.
Well, Whitney's been on my show before, so.
Yeah, we'll see.
I didn't know you had a radio show, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, she actually was the first person to predict Ronda Rousey winning this title. Before she had her first match in UFC, she told me Ronda Rousey was going to be a UFC champion. So.
Let's talk. Catch up.
Okay.
Join me. Thank you. So, where did I leave off?
with your father not getting the job.
Oh yeah, and yeah, that was it really. The deal didn't go through. My father wanted it, again. My father wanted it in writing, and he knew he wasn't going to get it, and he couldn't just drop everything and move to Connecticut the next day. The rest was history. So yeah.
But it's not like that was the end of your father's story, because he still had lots of going on.
Oh yeah, more stories. We just put it in a wrestling book. So since you have a show, if any of your listeners who are listening who are interested in wrestling history and love the territorial wrestling, we did a wrestling book called Richmond 95171: A Wrestling Story. It's both written both my father and myself, and it's a great read. And if any of your listeners are interested, they can contact me at scottmwalton@gmail.com.
All right.
I'll be more than happy to give them some info.
Well,
I don't want to give too much away because it's all too suspenseful, and I want to leave them hanging.
All right, but we can do like a more expansive interview when it's not video. We could do like a radio interview where you can come on. Yeah,
Absolutely. If you want, we can interview my father. Just send me some information on your wrestling show, and I'm sure he'd be happy to do it for you.
Yeah, because we love talking to territorial guys. Just a few weeks ago, we talked to Houston Wrestling's promoter, Paul Bosch's nephew.
Paul Bosch's nephew. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. My father worked for Mike LaBelle. He was he was the right hand man pretty much for him. And believe it or not, it's kind of scary that out of practically the whole LA wrestling office, well, you got Gene LaBelle. Gene LaBelle's still living, and but he never went up to the office too much. But what's kind of scary is my father's probably the last one alive out of that LA wrestling booking office. It's scary, And you had a lot of you had bookers there. I mean, you had great bookers. Like Bill Garrett was one, and a couple others. But we have a wrestling book that discusses it. I don't want to give too much away, so any of the listeners are listening, you're more than welcome to contact me. And if you want to interview with my father, I'm sure be happy to do it.
Absolutely, let's do that. That's a plan.
All right, Steve.